Hi, I'm Bob Hansen for Wicked Awesome Productions. I'm interviewing Jared Heaney today from Yoda, Minnesota, and we're at a shop here in Caledonia, Minnesota. So where'd you grow up?
Right here, Caledonia, Minnesota.
All right. When did you start driving?
I was 14, 28 now. So 14 years I've been doing it. I got two older brothers that have been doing it for long before me, so.
Your brothers in the area then too?
Yep, both my brothers live in Caledonia. Caledonia is a pretty big derby town. A lot of people around here do it.
How often do you drive in any given summer?
Lately I do about 6, 7 a year. When I was a little bit younger and didn't have quite as so much responsibility, I'd do about a dozen or so.
What locations do you drive at the most?
Eitzen is the next town over, they have a big one on the 4th of July. I run there often. I run a lot of IMP stuff. So like Rochester, Wabasha, Owatonna, places like that. Rochester I do quite often.
What characteristics attract you to drive at one venue over another?
Competition, I guess. Track size is a big one. I like to hit hard, so I like the bigger tracks.
What's your favorite derby class?
I like IMP's Pro class. I have a lot of fun in that. I prefer full-size cars though. I've never run compacts or trucks or anything like that. It's all full-size cars.
Are you driving any events besides derbies?
I used to race a Hornet car in West Salem. It's La Crosse, Wisconsin. I did that for 4 or 5 years. It's just like a small 4-cylinder car you race on a circle track. Both my brothers, when they quit derbying, they both kind of got into that, so then I did that too. But my wife made me choose one, and derby and was the one I chose. So.
What's the furthest you've traveled to drive in a derby?
Probably Owatonna. That's a couple hours away from here is all. I plan on going to Metal Mayhem next year. That's way down in Illinois, so that'll be the furthest I went.
Have you watched a show down there before?
I've been there to watch, yes, never ran. A lot of people don't like to go down to watch because they say there's a lot of sandbagging, but I like to go just to see the caliber of cars that show up there.
Do you prefer classes with a single heat, or do you prefer multiple heats with a feature?
When we first started getting away from the heats, I liked just running the single heat, but now after running a lot of single heats, I kind of look back and miss running heats, but it's nice not having to bring all that stuff to a derby, and it's just a one heat go, and when you're done you load them up and bring them home. You don't have to work on them. That's always nice too, so it's kind of 50-50.
Okay. You consider yourself an offensive or a defensive driver?
Offensive.
What steps do you take to keep yourself safe in the car?
Wear a helmet, that's it.
Just a helmet?
Obviously, everybody wears that. And, build a good cage to keep your car in one piece, and that's about it.
Do you do anything to prepare mentally before the event?
No, not really.
Not really, just ready to go.
I get real nervous. Doesn't matter how long you do it. If people say they don't get nervous, they're lying, so there's nothing you really can do, I guess.
You do anything to unwind after the event?
Maybe drink a lot of beer.
What's the most critical step that you take in preparing your car?
I guess having a good engine is 99% of the battle. Make sure your motor runs good. Maybe a little bit of welding.
How long does it take you to build a car?
Depends on what kind of car, I guess. I can build one in anywhere from a couple days to a couple months. It all depends on how nice the car is or what class you run into, Like, I've wrecked a lot of stock 80s and newer where I don't do anything to them, and you can build them in a day or two. Where if you get nice cars like these and you want to put a little extra work into them, they can take months to build.
When do you usually get started building?
I try to do a lot in the winter, that way I don't get so burnt out in the summer. But then by the end of the summer, it's nice to take a few months off. So I would say I'll start back up building in November. December.
Do you keep any tools in your driver's quarters in your car?
I guess I always keep a couple vice grips, 1/2-inch wrench. Vice grips are big. You never know when you might need one.
What's your favorite model car to drive?
70s GMs.
What's your favorite engine to drive on?
Chevy 350.
What's the most derbies you've ever driven on a single car?
Actually, this car right over here on the trailer has probably been in 20 derbies. I built the car fresh and I won Rochester with it probably 7-8 years ago. And then when I derbied at Knightson, I've won several times with it. And then I brought it to Rochester last year both nights and won both nights with it. So that one car has several wins and a lot of derbies on it.
Was that Rochester win? Was that the one with the camera in?
Yes.
Out of all of the ways that your competition might cheat, what bothers you the most?
The things that bother me is when a promoter makes me cut something and doesn't make the next guy, I guess. More or less fairness from the promoter is more what would bother me the most.
How do you feel about team driving?
Teaming's part of derbying, I guess. Holding people and teaming up that way, I'm against that, but having buddies out there and not hitting them when you're hitting somebody else, I'm not against that. I guess that's just the name of the game. You get some people out there that will team and they won't hit anybody, but if you're an aggressive driver and you're teaming, I'm fine with that.
Have you ever been disqualified?
I think I was disqualified one time for hitting a driver's door, but other than that, no.
How many wins do you have? Top 3, we'll say.
Top 3? I bet I have 40 top 3s.
Really?
Wins, I think I have 15. 4 of my better cars I got, I guess. One of the 2 cars that I'll probably bring to Metal Mayhem if I can get in.
Which one is that?
This blue Pontiac wagon, that's a Texas 76 Pontiac wagon. And then this here is a 76 Buick LeSabre. Both are pretty much 100% rust free, other than the back bumper on that. And this Pontiac needs a front clip, that's about it. Otherwise, there is absolutely no rust on mine. All 3 of these cars are drivers. I could drive them down the road if I wanted to. Actually, the end one, the brown one, I do drive that one on occasion. I got that one licensed. That brown one on the end doesn't have any back brakes in it, so it would leave posi marks like no other.
So these are only 4 spares right now?
No, I have a few metric cars. I have a few pre-run cars too that are still left over from last year. I have another wagon just like this that's pre-run. I got another Oldsmobile that I run in Wabasha that's pretty much still fresh. That's a good car yet too. These are the 4 nice fresh ones I got though.
Let's take a look at this guy over here.
I ran it this year in Rochester in the pro class. I think I ended up 4th with it. Got teamed up on a little bit. I suppose it goes with the territory winning both of them last year. She's bent in some goofy places though. I think she's seen her last show.
All right. Well, let me see your shop. Are these trophies in order in any way?
No. I'll say I guess I just make room for them when I get them. Used to keep a lot more old parts off cars, but now everybody kind of buys new stuff, so you don't really need as much old stuff anymore. Believe it or not, most people's cars are 99% new parts on them. Actually, most of my old spare parts that I do have, a lot of people come for stuff that are just getting into it, you know, that don't want to stick the money into it. A lot of stuff you just borrow out.
What kind of tires do you like to run?
I run like DOT bias by truck tires, 715s usually. These actually are my newest ones. These are 614s. A lot of people have been running them on Crown Vics and wagons. And I've only ran them once. Get good traction with them.
And what kind of tires are there?
They're off of they make them for like a smaller 4-wheel drive tractor. There would be the front tires for a little.
Nice shops and shaped, cleaned up, organized.
Yeah, I'm picky when it comes to that stuff.
Well, that's all the questions I have. So thanks, Jared, for your time today. Wish you the best of luck in the future.
No problem. Thanks a lot.
Till next time, stay away from the bank.